viewers, folks out there, today we're going to be having another awesome podcast with the one and only Hassan. He's one of a kind. And today we'll be talking about purpose, right?
Yeah.
Many times in life we just hit us, especially when you start getting older, you're like, what's my purpose? Where do I begin? I feel there's something missing, right? So,
Yeah.
our viewers it would be good to show that part and explain a little bit about purpose, and there's no better way to put this through than someone who's actually lived the whole process. So it means you've embodied that,
Hmm.
and I don't think we finally get to any journey,
Yeah.
the end of the journey, but it's really all about the process, right?
Absolutely.
So introduce yourself to the viewers out there.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and an important topic as well. So, um, maybe just to go back where I come from, my upbringing, and everything. I was born in Yemen. It's a country in the Middle East. It's interesting because like society there has a meaning or stereotypical
Hmm.
understanding of how men and women should behave.
No,
So
right.
growing up, I had a certain type of purpose that I felt that I should follow, and it was one that I should be a provider. So men should provide, and women should be the carers.
All right.
So that type of mindset has always been in the back of my head. And then I remember one day I was right before I graduated high school. My father asked me, "What is it that you want to study?" So like everyone in my class and all the students, no one really knew, and I didn't know what to answer. I knew that he wanted me to be a doctor, so the easy answer would be I'll just be a dentist or some sort of doctor, but I really didn't want to get into medicine. So the second best option was to tell him that I'll study economics because he studied economics.
All right. My father likes that.
Yeah, so he was like, "Oh yeah, that's great, and maybe you should go into banking and investments."
Make it
So
money.
that just started the whole journey. Now, it wasn't bad advice. It was actually him caring and wanting me to have a good and purposeful life. But it wasn't the best advice for me.
Yeah.
And eventually, like throughout the years, I went to London, I studied there, I grew up loving finance and also worked in London. Relocated to Dubai, worked there for a few years in some of the biggest financial institutions. And there was always something missing. Like I felt that there was an emptiness. I felt unfulfilled. There was a lack, and I
Yeah.
wasn't really happy. I didn't understand what it was, where my purpose was, and I was the provider. So that was always the thing that kept telling me that, you need to be the provider. Men should do this, women should do that. And eventually, it really took its toll on me. So I felt that there was a complete disconnect internally.
Yeah.
And eventually, I went into a lot of mental health challenges.
Mhm.
So, like coming in with the whole well-being aspect as well. So that really impacted me, and it created a shift. And that whole journey, like from the onset of my upbringing up until, up until today and going forward, like you said, it's a process,
Mm.
and it's something that's really entwined in our mindset. So, what is that purpose as well?
Yeah. So, for you, what exactly was the sticking point? Like, when did you actually realize that something is not quite right? And what, let's say, what behaviors or thoughts and emotions was going through your mind at that
Yeah,
point?
yeah, that's a really important aspect because maybe at this point it's important to try to define the word purpose as well,
Right.
just to work back and then go into what we're looking for as well. So the way that I understand it, passion and purpose are really together in a
It's the
sense.
point, right?
So passion is something that you do for yourself. It could be something that you love, a habit that you continue doing, something really that you find joy doing. Purpose is what you do for others. So you start serving. So you can actually use your passion to deliver your purpose. So purpose is actually finding strengths in you, skills or talents that you can use to develop and help society or people or someone. So it's more external. Looking for things that would probably pinpoint whether you are living in a purposeful life or if you feel that you have purpose in what you're doing is really difficult to pinpoint. And I'll explain it from my point of view as well. So I didn't know what it was when I was going through that internal struggle. So
Yeah.
I felt that I was living my purpose, but I didn't feel fulfilled. There was something internal that kept telling me this is something that you're not really enjoying.
Yeah.
I felt like there's a magnet that was repelling
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the same
It
sign.
disconnect.
Exactly. So just getting that sense, that feeling, it is already an indication, and it's that awareness. So you have the realization and awareness that something's not right. So I kept pushing it, and I kept pushing it down and down and down, until eventually my body started showing signs that
Yeah,
there's something
yeah.
wrong.
That's,
So
that's what usually happens.
exactly. So the body was telling me there's something there that you should check out.
Right.
So just the awareness of what's happening, realization, and then accepting it and moving past that as well.
All right. Now you said something that's really I picked up that and I think it's important. You said you attributed purpose to doing something external, right? Um, does it have to always be external?
Well, in terms of the service, I feel like purpose would have to be. It could be, for example, purpose could be anything. And one misconception that I feel people also come across is that you have one purpose in life.
Yeah.
That's one thing that you
Yeah.
need to do. And the good and the bad thing about that, the bad thing is once you find out that purpose, and let's say you actually accomplish the purpose, what next? Like you
Yeah.
would feel empty, or you would feel restricted, or maybe even a loss of identity that you've
Yes.
actually achieved that. So a purpose is something that develops over time as well. So when you find it within you, so it all starts by developing your awareness of understanding
Consciousness,
what you want. Consciousness.
awareness.
Exactly. So getting into that, tapping into your own subconscious and mindset and reframing it and believing what you want to do, eventually you can figure out what you can deliver and serve. So the greatest gift that anyone can give is to serve. And that's why you also feel that generally most parents have a sense of purpose because they serve their children without any expectations, like
Yeah,
limitless love.
That's beauty in itself, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, having people, raise some concerns, and initially you think that okay, these guys don't know what they're saying, and then you start looking inwards,
Yeah.
right? Now, when you started looking inwards, how did that feel, and what kind of things were you feeling at that moment?
Yeah, so it was quite emotional to tell you the truth because, well, first I've decided to take the time to actually go back and work inwards, and it was really challenging my upbringing, my beliefs, my fake identity that I thought that was so important to me and I was so connected to it. So just writing the lists and uh, I made a chart of 3 columns. It was an exercise that I've done through some research online, and it's basically where you list everything that you feel passionate about, things that you want to do in your life. The second column is the noise or the obstacles and challenges that are impacting you for that specific aspect. And the third is what you can actually do to achieve what you want, or how can you overcome the noise and the obstacles. So it really touched on even going back to that conversation that I had with my father in terms of what I want to be. So a provider, not should I do this, should I do that? And some of the things that I put down were driving, playing the guitar, or writing poetry. And so I'm not a really great guitar player or
I
driver.
like the poems. The poems are awesome, man.
Thanks for reading them. So yeah, that was one thing that I added there, and it was about it's a passion. So I enjoy writing poetry, and it then ties in with the concept ikigai. So
Yes.
it's a Japanese concept that was developed in the Western culture to look at 4 different elements in one's life, and it combines them to find the intersect in the middle and that's basically where you can find your ikigai or like your purpose. And just really quickly, these elements are what you love, what you're good at, what you can get paid for, and what the world needs. So just finding how all of these four different elements interconnect can decide what you can do with your life. So for example, I might be good at writing poetry, but I might not be the best, or I might not be a great poet.
Yeah.
So I would combine my skills and develop and learn and join communities to understand how I can write better, or like how the stanzas are created and such. Is it what I love? That's absolutely yes. That's a quick thing that you can really find out whether it's right or not.
Yeah.
Does the world need this? So it really depends on the people. So which communities you're connecting with, what kind of poetry you're writing, why is it important, what's the message that you're sharing. So just connecting with that, like that really embraces the actual habit or passion that you're building. And then would you get paid for it? That's the aspect where most of the people who are passionate or passioneers and they find things that they love, they would struggle because either it's the mindset holding them back, telling them that maybe you're not worthy of getting paid for something that you love, or the way that they were taught that money is bad or such, or maybe they don't even know how businesses work. I watched an interview with Richard Branson, and at some point he said, when I was 54, we were in a boardroom, and someone said the net profit, or like some fancy word, and Richard Branson was saying, yeah. And then someone asked him, can we talk outside? And when they went outside, he asked him, do you know what that word is? And he's like, absolutely not. So it's just understanding what it is and just building that mind frame and mindset, really to define the words in your own terms before doing anything else.
All right, now let's look. You did make a list, because when you try to find your purpose, you set out what you're good at, the obstacles, or rather also the goals you want to achieve, the obstacles, and then do you have the skill set? Do you have what it takes to achieve those goals? How was it for you being able to achieve the skills? Like what did you have to give to get those skills required?
It was actually what I had to not give to achieve them, which is the sacrifice. So in order to be able to refine the skills or to develop some of the talents or understand what's happening, it's so important to find things that you're willing to give up. So there's nothing that can come out of not giving up. Even Napoleon Hill, in his book Think and Grow Rich, he says, in order to get something, you need to give up something. And he's someone that interviewed the greatest at the time, like the J.P. Morgans of the world, the Thomas Edisons, the Henry Ford, like all of these different great entrepreneurs and leaders. And it's really giving up something. So for me, it was giving up some time that I would spend either with watching Netflix in the evenings or with friends or entertainment,
or browsing the Facebook
or browsing Facebook,
Instagram, TikTok.
Exactly. So even weekends, like instead of just going out and relaxing and not doing anything, I would just stay in, do the work, and put my head down, focus, determine what I need to do.
All right. So here we have a case of actually trying to define what you're good at. So that eventually makes you not require so much discipline, because you already love it, and then the skill set will be what really drives you to start achieving those goals, right? But now, if today's world, people don't have time. You finish work, you go home, you're tired, maybe you have kids, you have a partner, you have to spend time with them. So there's so much noise, as you said it before, right? I've actually seen somewhere a formula that's written that it says performance is equals to potential minus interference. Right? Interference is the noise. So for you to achieve your potential, then you need to get rid of that, right? So how will people practically just dedicate some certain amount of time, and how can we put it out there for people not to feel they're doing or giving away way too much?
Yeah, yeah, it's a good question, and I love that, like the formula that you said, because you actually need to remove all the distractions or any interruptions from the process. So at this point, it's also important to distinguish what time and energy are. So,
Yeah.
for example, I could spend 2 hours with a family member or friend, but those 2 hours might not be spent with my full energy and focus with the person.
Hmm.
So just understanding how much energy that you're bringing in and relieving any distractions. If I'm sitting with, let's say, a family member that came to visit, and I'm with them, but I'm checking my phone and I'm thinking of what I'm going to be doing later on and wondering if I managed to complete what I wanted to do, I'm not giving them my full energy. So even if I spend 2 hours with them, the actual focus or connection would be much less. So energy is so much more important to focus and refine. And it's true because once you finish work and you go home and you feel tired, you don't have any energy to do anything. So you can find different tools or techniques that you can squeeze out energy from what you're doing.
Right.
So, for example, and this might sound a little bit too spiritual, but if you meditate, I know of people that would want to meditate, they would take out their phone or application that they follow, look for a meditation that they would want to do, and then meditate.
Right.
Now, the meditation actually takes 10 minutes, but that whole process might take 20 minutes.
True.
And the first 10 minutes is them going through their application, finding what to meditate with, and then deciding to meditate.
Yeah.
So they actually double the time, but the energy spent is much less.
True.
So if they actually know exactly what they're going to be doing in terms of meditation, and it's all about planning. So if they plan, for me, I would plan the night before what I'm going to do the day next.
Mm-hmm.
So that really helps me to refine and focus exactly what I wanted to do.
So now we're going to try and make things more practical. For you, what steps did you need to take? Like, step 1, step 2, step 3, to be able to come to terms and own this purpose that you're on.
Yeah, I think maybe at this point just to say what the purpose is as well. So my purpose is to serve and really to help people reframe their mindsets to be able to use any challenges to perform and develop and live a fulfilling life. So that's the mindset that I'm entwining into my own purpose and beliefs. So the steps really are just to realize what your body's saying. So once your body starts feeling some tension or aggression or an imbalance, your body starts releasing chemicals and you would start feeling it. You might feel tired, drowsy, distracted, unfocused, sick. You might get sick even quicker because your body's defense mechanism and immune system are much lower.
Yeah.
Because you're focusing, your body's energy is focused on this thing that you're doing which doesn't align with what you want. So the first step is just to identify these patterns. So it goes back to what we were saying. If you have someone that can tell you, are you okay? Is there something wrong? What is happening in your life? That might give you the indication. And then you would go into an awareness state. So you become more aware and you realize what your body's saying, what you want to do with your time, and then working with that. Just sitting down and doing the work, listing everything, writing what you want to be or want to achieve, or things that, even hobbies, like you just write your hobbies. That's a great start to see what it is that you can do. For example, you can say, I love cooking. So that's a great hobby.
Yeah.
Is that a purpose? Can you create something around it? Do you love doing it? That's a check. Are you good at it? Maybe you need to take more lessons, understand what kind of cooking, which types of cuisines, how to cook, connecting with certain communities, finding a mentor to teach you how to cook. Cooking now is, I mean, this is
I know, I love eating though. So that would be a little purpose. Needs to be specific about it.
So yeah, just finding that and refining it and learning. So just understanding which books are important as well to read. Our time is finite. in our life
Yeah.
and also in the day. So spending the minutes that you have to understand or to learn through effective books is absolutely important.
All right. So one thing though that comes is the fact that you have to have the right mindset. That means you need to be thinking of the right things. So you think, you feel, and then you act, right?
Yes.
So a lot of important thing goes into what you're feeding your mind. What type of things do you think, could generally be more positive than negative with
Yeah.
regards to what you consume in your mind?
Yeah, I love that. And like the sequence of the way that you feel and eventually turns into action. It goes even deeper. Like it starts with the values that you have,
Right.
the beliefs, the attitudes, the behaviors, the habits that you integrate into that whole system, and then it comes out with the results. So anything that's worth doing is actually eventually there has to be an action, but it all starts with just that self-talk, just
Yes.
talking to yourself in a way that is like affirmations. It's giving
Yes.
you that drive. You motivate yourself by saying positive talk. Some people would wake up every morning, especially Mondays, and say, I hate Mondays.
Yeah.
I hate this. I am not happy. Once they keep repeating this, their
Yeah.
mind understands that, you know what?
It's a
This
bad
is how
day.
I am.
Yeah, let's just
It's a
have it
bad day.
bad, right? So it's self-fulfilling prophecies. You tell yourself something, and your brain actually actively looks for a way to confirm that you said. A big thing has to do with changing your mindset. A
Yeah.
big thing has to do with surrounding yourself with the things you really want to achieve and trying to achieve those. But one thing though is, did you have any pullback? Like, because we mentioned the support system where you have an environment that supports that which you want to achieve, a goal or a purpose. Um, but at times you could also have the other side,
Yeah.
right? So you could have those people like, oh no, you can't. You're such a dreamer, man. How could you ever play the guitar or you write poems? How could you do that?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Yeah. So that's a really important point because it could be a very lonely journey,
Right.
finding your purpose and putting your head down and working. Um, so when you actually dedicate or intend to find what you want to work on, you start making these sacrifices and pull back. And there's a lot of noise. So there's a lot of distractions externally. People will be telling you things. You might get influenced. You might start doubting yourself, saying, is this right? Is this not? So even when I was exploring and working with what I'm doing, even writing poems and poetry, and also finding ways that I can serve, like using my body and intellect and physical being as a medium for service, I got a lot of negative pushback. It's like, what are you doing? Are you sure this is what you want to do? You're wasting your life.
Yeah.
This is not what you're supposed to be doing. So the great thing about reshifting your mindset is using these challenges and obstacles as an opportunity.
Shield.
So you can use it, and whatever comes your way, like you can choose challenges. Life is giving you these choices. So choosing challenges, because challenges will always happen, they will always occur. Once you know what challenges you want to take over, not the solutions, you're not looking for solutions, you're just looking at the challenges, that determines the life that you will have. So finding how you will overcome these challenges or use them as fuel. It reminds me of a quote by Nelson Mandela, who said that when he was talking about challenges and failure and fear, he said that I never fail. I either win or learn.
Yeah.
So any obstacle, any pit that you fall into, it could be a means of an opportunity to grow. Even just going through that journey of falling into the abyss, that can be your purpose as a stepping stone to bring you into your higher purpose as well.
So one thing that it's really clear is you are always learning, right? And you can choose to learn the good stuff or you can just choose to, dwell on something negative.
Yeah.
Now, that mindset is like a growth mindset, because when you learn, you improve, and you improve, you get better, I think you become a better person, a better colleague, a better spouse or husband or wife or child. And it only just makes, precipitates good things on.
Yeah.
But like, we've talked before, but it does seem like these days, the negative noise and sounds, it's pretty loud.
Yeah.
How do we navigate that? How do
Yeah.
we go around that and say tone that down a little bit and
Yeah.
focus on what's right?
Yeah, it's so true because I'm a true believer that there is so much good in the world, but the bad is louder. So that really pulls us back because people focus on what's bad
By
rather
default.
than not looking at what's good.
Mm.
So just trying to find not being positive. Positivity can be really bad because you might not accept what's happening or actually be blinded by the fact that you need to do some sort of action. But being optimistic, so finding the challenges or anything that's taking place and being optimistic. Maybe it's worth making the distinction through a metaphor or an example. So if you were drowning,
Right.
and a positive mindset would say, I'll get saved. It's okay, I'm sure that I'll survive.
Mm-hmm.
An optimistic mindset would be like, okay, I'm drowning. What can I do to save myself?
Yeah.
Maybe I should start swimming and try to go to shore or find a ship or something.
Yeah.
So that distinction is so important to make when you have that mind frame of like growth and using challenges as opportunities and building there.
So it does seem that this comes up with not just a positive thinking, but also having an action that goes with it, right? So being
Yes.
optimistic, and that action that goes with it arises from hope.
Yeah.
Right. So hope happens to be one of the strongest emotions that
It is.
we can feel. Now, let's say, I want to start this journey. I want to do this. I need a little bit of some motivation. What three books would you recommend me to read, or
Sure.
you found to be very helpful in your side?
Yeah, and books are so important, but it's also critical to find the right books to read because you only have a certain amount of hours in the day. So if you effectively read the books, and you can even go deeper to understanding how you can read the books to make them as effective as possible, but that's a different conversation.
That's about time management, right?
But for purpose, the first book that comes to mind is Ikigai. So it explains the concept much better than what I attempted to do here.
Well,
And
I
it goes
think
into detail.
I think you quite put that quite nicely. At times, simplicity is best, right?
Yeah. The other book is more of I feel it's more of a business book. It's called Start with Why by Simon Sinek,
Right.
and he basically reframes what is your why.
Yeah.
So there's three levels: is how do you do what you do? It's what do you do? How do you do it? And why do you do it? So it's just breaking these three different levels, and he gives a lot of examples of how organizations find their why, which is eventually the purpose of any corporate or any institution. So it works with the institutions, and he has a lot of examples comparing Apple and Microsoft and IBM and such. But you can also reinforce it with you. Like that would be your purpose, finding your why. And the last book, I would say it's about hope, since you touched on hope, which is Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. It's such a powerful book about his struggle during the Holocaust and his experience through it. He talks about sacrifice, about success, about hope, about really what is the reason for us living and how to find meaning in what we're doing. It's such a powerful book, and he wrote it in 9 days or 12 days or
Jeez,
in a
can you
very
imagine
short
the amount
time.
of emotions that was running through his mind and was
Just
writing that?
writing everything
Straight
out.
down. He probably
Yeah.
didn't have time to eat or something. Now, okay, so, the way things are, we've tried to put some things in context. We try to, make people understand that, it's really important what you feed yourself. It's important to have those goals. It's important to know what's stopping you from reaching those goals, and then, developing yourself to achieve those goals is in itself a kind of really cool thing, because you you set some targets and you have those early wins. And I
Yes.
think when people have a sense of anxiety or depression or sadness or whatever, I think it's because usually you have a bit of a low self-esteem.
Hmm.
But being away, be putting yourself in a space that you develop yourself and you achieve those little goals makes you feel good about yourself.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. That keeps you motivated as well. So, like, just the small wins. And it takes time, it's a process. So, when you say, for example, I started writing poetry as an example, it's a hobby,
Hmm.
and a passion. So, it's not what I do for a living, but I enjoy it.
The last time you had, like, I remember when I was writing poems, was like when you're a teenager and
Yeah.
you're trying to get the girl, and you're like writing really cool poems. I think that was my stuff, but yeah, I think I'll start that up
But,
again.
but yeah, so like some people enjoy it, some people don't. And I started by saying it's a journey. Like, what is the purpose of me actually posting what I'm writing about? So it all starts with just one post, one poem, one action, just taking that first step. And it wasn't perfect. It wasn't great. It wasn't the best poem. It wasn't the best way of representing the poem. Um, but getting some sort of internal gratification that that thing is out. It's great to get the likes. It's
Yeah,
great to get the external validation. But
but
just understanding internal, like, you know what? I did that. I'm
mm,
very proud of myself. I'm very
yeah,
happy of what I've done. This is something that's close to my heart that I really love doing. So you start just building on that and you learn and you keep shifting your mindset. So
yeah,
what worked there? What can I improve? Where can I become better? How can I reach more people? What are other people doing? So like you just keep building on that
yeah,
and
yeah.
developing yourself as you go along.
So this thing, it's this law of correspondence. How you feel within, you bring out. That's something that I see, because when you see people that are genuinely happy or smile,
Yeah,
it's just because they found a way to make themselves feel good,
yeah,
right? It's not that they just took a magic pill or something, but they managed to make themselves feel good. How do you make yourself happy?
yeah.
And smile, because
Yeah.
I've hardly ever seen you without a smile on your face. And people shouldn't get it twisted. They are bad days,
Yeah,
but
there
still
are
you
bad
still
days.
you still take those on with a smile, right?
Yeah, the
So
smile sometimes goes the other way, but it's important to have these authentic responses, emotional ups and downs. So, but overall, I'm generally very optimistic and
what's your secret? How do you do it
positive.
every day?
Yeah, well, there's this. No, I'm joking.
There's this
But
magic pill you just take it, then you just get some happiness. Woo!
it's really it's gonna sound very boring, but it's actually sitting down and doing the work. So
Mm.
just reaffirming to yourself, believing in yourself, saying what you want to achieve. I plan my days the night before, so I put what's important for me to achieve in the morning, where I need to focus my energy, and start the morning by exactly knowing what it is that I need to do. And that just alleviates any of the obstacles or barriers that I need to push myself to go through. And the motivation that keeps driving me is me reinforcing myself. I'll give you an example. Like I asked my wife to tell me inspiring or motivating things every day.
Mhm.
So she's like, but I might not feel them. So why would I tell you these things? I was really upset. I was like, why? You should support me.
Yeah, yeah.
But then I reflected and I was like, how selfish am I to ask her to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
And instead of me wanting her to say that, why can't I just say that to myself?
Exactly.
So every morning, every day, whenever I have the opportunity, I keep reinforcing my strength, my
Self-talk.
self-talk.
Right.
Looking myself in the mirror, just telling myself exactly what it is that I believe and what I feel of what I want to do. That gives me that motivation. And motivation is really it's driven by a chemical in the body.
Yeah.
It might sound a little bit scientific, and I'm
Well,
not an
that's
expert, but
we've got PwC guys. Everybody's got a degree here. We're all smart people. So hit us with it. Go on.
so dopamine is conceived as like the happy chemical, or like
Yes.
something that makes you want to do something. But it's actually motivation that drives dopamine. It's a drive, it's a push
Right.
that makes you want to do things that actually inspire you to do it. So you can find anything, good or bad, that would spur up the dopamine levels. So you could do something that's very unhealthy for your body just to spike the dopamine levels, and that would make you feel happy. But then the drop is much bigger than the actual high. So finding a motivation within you, the way that you would talk and inspire yourself, that's the first step. You can also do some physical activities. Meditation is also a very strong enforcer to have that positive affirmation and to keep your mind focused, mindfulness as well. Enjoying the moments is so important. Living within the society, taking the time to laugh, realizing your goals and working with them. Like these small steps actually trigger that motivation within you. And it's so important to reflect and celebrate the small wins. That gives you a small push, small energy boost.
Yeah, you said something really important. You said you need to take a moment and you need to celebrate the small wins. And that sounds a lot like gratitude.
Yes.
Right. Because I just basically always challenge people, show me a happy person and I'll always show you someone who's grateful for those little things.
Yeah.
So I think gratitude plays a role.
It does.
And when you're grateful, you're affirming to yourself that you appreciate what you have, and like the Bible says, or the universe is, to whom more is given, more
Exactly.
keeps coming. So
Yeah.
the more you appreciate what you have, the more is given to you, and then you
Yeah.
keep doing more and aspiring for more. So how would you say this, purposeful life that you've chosen to live, how would you say it's rubbed off on people around you?
Yeah, I love that you brought up gratitude, and it ties in with how it's rubbing off, hopefully, to the better. But I'm very grateful for all the steps and everything that I went through. So all the highs and all the lows and every single moment that brought me to this chair here, every single thing, I'm so grateful for that. And it's just an appreciation and also a way of living. So once you're grateful, it's exactly what you're saying. It just starts to attract different things.
Right.
And it would eventually create some sort of snowball effect for anyone around you.
Yeah.
But it takes time. This is what people, or even myself, like I'm impatient with certain things. But the people around me, like my family, see it first, and they tell me after months or after years, something changed. But it's the people that I only see every now and then that say, there's something different.
Mm-hmm.
You were not happy before.
Yeah.
You seem better now. Like, what is it that you're doing? And it's all of these different steps. So it's not just one thing that you would pinpoint, but it all starts with just spending that 10 minutes or 20 minutes, just finding what it is that you love and trying to understand what's the purpose, and understanding that purposes can change and you can adapt, and you can find what you love. You can build on it. You can learn, shifting your mindset and having those difficult conversations with yourself that you don't really want to have them.
Yeah.
It's just starting with that.
Sometimes you don't want to see yourself in the mirror.
No, yeah. Like days you just wake up and say no.
Yeah. So, but now for our folks out there, what we've tried to really do here is really put things in context, right? We touched on purpose, we touched on goals, we touched on being able to create that mindset that fosters you to be able to achieve those goals, enjoying the process, the what you're doing to become better, because you don't just become something. You do you do certain things that makes you become, because you are an aggregate of all the things you do. Right.
Absolutely.
So if we add up those little wins, and those little wins happen to be very good and positive things directed at a purpose or a goal, then I think you find a way of finding yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think we actually ever truly find ourselves completely?
Um, for me, I don't think that I would achieve my purpose. I don't think that there would be a day that I'll be like, I've achieved my purpose. Because if I do, then I might not have hope to carry on.
And we need that.
So
Right?
yeah, hope is so important, but it's just a process of learning, embracing, continuing, building, connecting. It's so important to just go back to the basics and understand really what's important for you and also for others that you can share. Um, but it's a fun journey. It's there's ups and there's downs, and everyone has their own journey to take.
True.
There's no right or wrong way.
Yeah.
It's all a journey. So just embrace what is happening, and there could be really horrible things that are happening, but there's always
A light at the end
line.
of the tunnel, right?
There is.
Because I think once you set out very good goals out there, and you choose to live intentionally,
Yeah,
right? And many times we use that word choose. It's very important for people to know that you have stimuli, you have response. In between stimuli and response, you have choice,
absolutely.
and the choice is all yours to make
Exactly.
at the end of the day. So would you leave any final tips on purpose and
Yeah,
steps?
absolutely. I think like if you don't know what your purpose is, that's okay. Like there is no pressure that you need to live a purposeful way right now.
Yeah.
Just knowing how you feel is already a great step forward.
Hmm.
Take the time to appreciate your own journey. Find the things that you love doing and try connecting them with how you can serve, how you can build and develop on them. And it's with everything, like even in the corporate environment. It's so important to do everything purposefully. So
Yeah.
whatever you're doing in serving, do it with so much passion
Yeah.
that you devote the necessary or like the satisfactory type of energy to make it the best thing that you can do. So just breaking things down, slowing down, taking a step back, that
Reflecting.
would be reflecting.
Yeah.
It's so important.
So we need to spend more time doing that. And
Yeah.
something that's very important is you've always talked about, giving, and I get to understand that that would mean um, interdependence, not
Yeah.
just all about it's only me in the world. There are other people, and
Yeah.
our actions. It's like the game theory. Our actions affect the others, so we need
Absolutely.
to make sure that we're trying to do the best things we can.
Yeah.
And guys, if you have any questions about purpose, you want to this is the man right here. And for me, it's really been an eye-awakening experience. Seeing your journey, talking to you, knowing you, and every time we get together, there's always quite a lot of
There
brain
is.
stuff
Yeah,
coming out.
we
and
have like
energy,
deep
right?
conversations.
Very cool. So, brother, really thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And
Thanks
we'll
for having me.
definitely get to do this again.
I hope so, yeah.
And yeah, on and upwards.
Thank you.
All the
Thanks, guys.
best.
This is great, and thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you for being here.